pas triché, moi. Pourquoi j'ai pas triché? Vous avez vérifié.
For more than 10 centuries, Venice had been her own independent republic. The city was built on a saltwater marsh. Because there were no suitable forests nearby, builders needed to bring wood from the neighboring countries of Croatia, Montenegro, and Slovenia, mostly alder. These alder poles were driven deep down into the clay beneath the marsh. On top of these poles, they constructed wooden platforms. On top of these wooden platforms, their buildings were erected. Through the centuries, the wood has withstood rot and decay because basically it's underwater, not exposed to oxygen. The seawater has hardened the wood into a more durable stone-like consistency. But today, Venice is sadly sinking. The depth of the canal varies, but it averages about 2 meters, maybe a little more, about 7 feet. The wider Grand Canal, which winds its way through Venice, is deeper. It averages 5 meters, about 16 feet. The oldest bridge in Venice that crosses the Grand Canal, the Rialto Bridge, was originally a temporary pontoon or floating bridge built in 1181. As traffic increased, it was replaced by a wooden bridge in 1255. But after twice collapsing, it was decided to rebuild the bridge out of more stable stone. The new bridge was completed in 1591. Today it's one of the more popular tourist attractions in Venice. The oldest building in Venice is the Basilica di Santa Maria Assunta, the Torcello Cathedral. It was originally built in the 600 AD, although it's no longer standing. St. Mark's Cathedral was originally built in 828, and it was built to house the remains of St. Mark the Evangelist. Because of Venice's location on the Adriatic, in the Middle Ages, Venice became very wealthy. Venetian merchants controlled the trade between Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. We found the most economical way to move around Venice was with the city pass. For a modest sum, we got the pass, which allowed unlimited travel for the duration purchased, an audio guide with a scratch-off PIN number, so we could listen on our phones as we visited various sites in the city. It also included a map of Venice. On one side, it had them, and on the other side, it had the water bus lines and their stops. When we were there, our one-day pass was about $30. But this included the map and the audio guide. It was easy and fun to hop off whenever you wanted and be able to hop back on whenever you wanted. The price for the third week of April was a one-day ticket, 25 euros, a travel card for 2 days, which is valid for the water buses in Venice, and the islands of Lido, Murano, and Murano, 35 euros. And for 3 days, it's 45 euros. You see masks for sale everywhere. Evidently, Around the 12th century, Venetians began wearing masks in their daily lives so that the upper and lower classes could mingle. It also allowed them to engage in illegal or questionable activities without anyone knowing who was who. During World War II, Italy was part of the Axis alliance. By early 1945, the road and rail networks of northern Italy had sustained severe damage, forcing the Germans to resort to shipping goods into Venice. And then, once in Venice, they moved them from there along rivers and canals. An attack on the city's harbor was thus deemed necessary by Allied command. Luckily, the only damage to the city of Venice was a few broken windows. The attack was centered on the harbor. The Allies sank the German torpedo boat TA-42, 2 merchant ships, as well as naval escorts and smaller vessels. A large cargo ship was seriously damaged. 5 warehouses were destroyed. Also, an Axis mine stockpile was hit, blowing a 100-yard hole in the quay side and other harbor infrastructure. In her book on Venice during World War II, Jan Morris reported that Venice was a very on both the German and Allied lists of places that must not be harmed, which meant that it sustained virtually no bomb damage, and even the most precious of the buildings, churches, galleries, and museums, weren't boarded up during the war. The 2.5-mile long Grand Canal, which winds its way through the center of Venice, is a major thoroughfare. Public transit water buses, private water taxis, along with siren-equipped boats belonging to the police, fire, and emergency medical service, traverse the Grand Canal at high speed. Also making use of the Grand Canal are barges that are responsible for the delivery of goods throughout the city. The connection between Venetian and their city's main thoroughfare does not end at the grave. Funeral barges can be seen transporting the dead to the funerary island northeast of the city. The Grand Canal is spanned in 4 places by bridges. The most famous are the Rialto Bridge and the Accademia Bridge. The west end of the canal is crossed by 2 other bridges, the Scalzi Bridge and the Constitution Bridge that links the railway station to the bus terminal and the parking complex at Rome Square. "40 years ago, the estimate was that the islands were sinking about 3 centimeters, about an inch, every 10 years. By 1980, efforts to utilize external water supplies appeared to have almost stopped the sinking. Besides the water buses, there is a quicker, comfortable way, although more expensive, to get around the city and its island: the water taxis. In Venice, the water taxi is a private speedboat that can be reserved or boarded from specific docking pontoons, some of them known as municipal taxi stations. The water taxi stops are scattered in several locations around the historic center of the city, and you can find one in Lido and one in Murano. If you have limited time in the city of Venice, the water taxi is the most expensive yet quickest and most comfortable way to move around the city. Most water taxis can transport up to 8 people, and for up to 4 people the ride cost doesn't vary, so the costs can be shared. To use a water taxi, go to any private or public jetty, or any of the municipal taxi stations on the map that you receive. Or you can call the taxi as you would a normal land taxi by waving your hand. You can also book online or simply call. We'll put the numbers down below. Murano Island is renowned for its long tradition of glass making. Venice has been making glass for about 1,000 years, and for the last 700 years, almost all has been made on the island of Murano. Visitors come to explore the Museo del Vetro, which tells the story of glass through the centuries. You can also shop for all the locally crafted glass items. A visit to the Glass Museum is well worth your time. It's fascinating to watch an authentic glass blowing demonstration, which can be easily arranged. At the Murano Glass factory, you can sit on seats and listen to the explanation of how the glass is made from the speaker, always in the original language based on your nationality. The master glassmaker will demonstrate his or her technical prowess by performing a series of live glass processes. Unlimited photographs and videos can be taken during the visit. Murano makes glass sculptures, vases, jewelry, just about everything you can imagine they make out of glass. We were surprised to learn that many authentic Murano glass pieces have an appraised value of hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on who made them and when, which technique was used, and how rare a piece is. In modern times, Murano is known for its art glass, but it has a long history of innovations in glassmaking, in addition to its artistic fame, and was Europe's major center for luxury glass from the High Middle Ages to the Renaissance. Only glassworks made in the island of Murano can be marketed as Murano Glass artworks. Murano Island, just north of Venice, has a population of 5,000. It is known predominantly and almost exclusively for its production of ornate, elegant, and distinctive glass. There are countless shops on the island selling glassworks. My younger sister, who is a skilled stained glass artist, would be fascinated. The glass factories on Murano are facing a crisis. As the whole of Europe plunges ever deeper into an ongoing energy crisis with a likely 400% increase in natural gas bills, the glass industry is struggling to keep afloat. One Murano craftsman explained how in the space of just 1 month the cost of fueling his furnaces rose from 40,000 euros in September to 170,000 euros in October. This crushing blow has led him, along with many of his peers, to turn off his furnaces without knowing when they can be started up again.
Special glass.
St. Mark's Square, or Piazza San Marco, is the principal public square of Venice. Once here, you can visit the Doge's Palace and the museum. St. Mark's Basilica is an impressive edifice. St. Mark's Cathedral displays a wealth of Venice accumulated over centuries, with its domes and turrets and gold mosaics standing out over the square. The cathedral is open to the public. St. Mark's Square is at the end of the Grand Canal. The waterfront, going eastwards, is a wide promenade. It's the largest open space in Venice. In front of the square are the water bus stops and water taxi jetties, as well as being the most popular location for taking gondola rides. Venice is a place everybody should see at least once. We saved by staying at a hotel a 20-minute ride from the city and doing our own self-guided tours. Also going before the season started on April 25th, a week before anyway. We did splurge on a few things, but being frugal doesn't mean you need to skip the enjoyable things in life.